Welcome to the Guitar Shop Podcast, episode 11. Coming
More
to
fingers than I have.
Yes. And can't do that anymore. Coming to you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, from Wade's Guitar Shop. I am Wade Stark.
I'm Dan Hintz.
Mr. Alex Ballard here.
Well, thank you all for joining us again. Check us out on the website, right down here, wadesguitarshop.com. Check out the email address, wadesguitarshop@sbcglobal.net. You try? .net.
Stop it once, not twice.
.net, not net.
You got net? Yeah. Tonight, we are going to talk about a couple of things that are going to be right here in front of us. We're not going to cut away to any stories because we all have some interesting things to say about what might be in this bag down here and in his brain and out of his beard. But first, we're going to take a look at a couple of questions that came in from viewers. First one is from Mark. Mark says, hey, I'm interested in buying the Electro Harmonix Micropog. And I was wondering whether the lows produced by Octave pedals mess up guitar speakers.
Excellent question.
Love you guys' podcast. Drove from New York to Boston for a gig, and it made the ride go fast.
Wow,
He's
that
got
is
the
a really
internet
good...
in his car. Deluxe.
I would be interested to hear what you guys have to say about that. Because I use an octave pedal. In the band I play in, I use an octave pedal for a few songs, and I've never really thought about, is it going to screw up my speakers? And the one I use is the old Boss octave pedal, which is 2 octaves down. So even when I'm playing a lead note, you could almost consider, it's playing, what a bass would be playing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't really push the amp any hard. I suppose there's an adjustment on it, as far as blend is concerned. But yeah, I've never really considered, is it going to ruin my speakers? Which I suppose in the long run it probably could, couldn't it?
Well, from what I understand is it really won't hurt the speakers, but from my experience, and I use a Pog too, and I've been trying to find a way to tie my Pog into my setup, and I use, I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast, I use a Music Man 210-65 reverb. So it's kind of like a Fender Vibrolux. It's pretty small. The 10-inch speakers do not reproduce the bass of the Pog very well. But from what I've always heard, the bass doesn't damage the speakers unless you were playing like at really, really loud volumes where the bass was literally just like shaking the speakers apart. But it's just the ability of the speakers to reproduce the bass frequencies, because the low E on a guitar is about, I think, 80 or 82 hertz, and when you're going a sub octave, like with your Boss pedal, 1 octave down, every octave halves or doubles the frequency.
It almost gets lost though. Really,
at some point.
At some frequencies when you're playing like an open E and it's 2 octaves down, there's no way in the world you could possibly hear that.
Well, if you think about it, though, if you're taking a low E, which is about 80 hertz, 80 or 82 or something like that, having it would take it down to roughly 40 hertz, which is pretty low. Mm-hmm. Another octave below that, again, 20 hertz. Right. That's at the bottom of the spectrum of what a human can even hear.
Yeah, and I think most guitar speakers roll off at 80. I mean, not completely, but that's
Right.
where they begin to dip pretty
Yeah,
rapidly.
yeah, exactly. If you look at, I think what we'll do is we'll throw on the right here now. We'll show a chart of what a guitar speaker, like a 12-inch Celestion or something,
I think
reproduces.
that's what bears your argument is that the frequencies that probably would damage it are so low that they don't resonate. It doesn't resonate.
Right.
If it actually extended, if you took a low wattage wimpy 40-year-old Jensen that actually reproduced, like you probably could heard a 15, an old Jensen low wattage 15,
Right.
which, worse than your 10s, which are just like going, I'm not hearing any of that 80,
Yeah.
like. So it probably, I don't know. That's
I think
a good question, but I mean, I guess you could argue that guitar speakers aren't particularly designed for those frequencies. I would think you would stress your voice coil more. I don't know though, and
But
bass speakers are usually crazy heavy duty wattage.
but you're just pushing that bass frequency through it. I think another thing to consider
Hardly
is the fact that
mid-range,
when you're using a POG or using an octave pedal, the majority of your sound, I mean, the focus of your sound is usually the guitar-centric
Mid-range and treble.
frequency,
With a little
but you're
of this
using
stuff
a little of
mixed in.
that stuff
Yeah.
to enhance it. So, and then in most cases, really, are you playing super low notes?
Right.
Because those don't actually translate.
You
very
don't even
well.
hear those when
so
you
you're
go
actually
down to
using
a
it
F.
for leads.
Yeah.
So I think
It's like probably when you're up at the 12th or 14th fret or something, the double octave down is probably playing a G note or, I mean, it's not.
I would probably say 10, not even 10, maybe 5% of the time, if you're using it in such a way that you're hacking off every guitar signal, and you're using it straight up bass, and you're turning up the bass, and you're really cranking it, yeah, you can probably damage your speaker. But for the most part, if you're using it for what it's intended for, you're mixing in the guitar signal. I mean, the POG in general is guitar signal. I mean, the mini POG is guitar
Yeah, he
high,
mentioned
high
the
octave.
micro POG in the
Guitar
email.
high octave and low, which how much of the low are you really hearing? I mean, because you're hearing
Or
the
how much
guitar,
do you really want blended in?
which is
Yeah.
what
I
the amp
suppose
is for.
it also
the
depends
high.
on what you want to do with it. I mean, if you want to get a sound where use the POG to get if you want to use it in the classic kind of 60s, 70s guitar solo kind of way versus using it in some sort of like it's accompanying, I'm playing low bass notes that I want to sound like a stand-up bass or something. I mean, like you were saying, at some point maybe it is worth looking at, depending on what you want to do with it, like splitting the signal and throwing all the low through
Yeah,
a
I would
small
say
little bass rig.
Throw it
and-
through a bass.
and
Throw it
then,
through a bass
yeah,
amp.
throw all the high stuff, with a simple crossover, you could do that.
Well,
So-
I've just started using the full-size POG, and what I'm running into is, I went online and I Googled guitar crossovers to see if there was anybody out there making anything that would allow me to run my guitar signal in it, adjust the crossover
Yeah.
frequency, and split the signal, and I couldn't find anything.
Wow,
There's
weird.
speaker crossovers for studios. There's speaker
Mhm.
crossovers for for live
PAs,
performance
yeah.
PA kind of thing. I could not find anybody who does any kind of guitar
Isn't that
high
something?
impedance crossover that allows you to split your signal and send some of it to bass. And
So-
because some of these,
Especially for acoustic guitar players, I mean, you'd think.
or these guys doing low B tunings, or seven
Yeah,
strings.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I was a bass player, I'd almost
Speechless.
I'd almost want a system like that.
I mean, it's
like
true.
a
I mean,
with a three-way
you look and you
crossover.
go, wait, why hasn't anybody done that?
Well, what I'm going
It has
through
to
right
be a
now,
market, yeah.
like my solution in my mind is to take my signal, split it with an ABY box. I use these StarTouch ABY pedals. Split that into two, and then run each signal into a bass EQ pedal. And on one, scoop out all the highs.
I know, that's
and
so
send
crazy.
That to
That's
bass.
so much energy for,
And on the other one, scoop out the lows and send that to my guitar amp. But I'm
right.
using
with a
three
simple
three
crossover,
pedals.
you could do, I know.
$300 worth
Yeah.
of pedals to try and get. And I don't even
That's
know
funny.
if it's gonna work properly
Or what
because
it'll have you a
if-
comb filter or something.
something funky is gonna happen. But well, I mean, with the Boss EQ pedals anyway, you can only scoop out 15 dB.
Yeah.
Which is it's a lot of the signal, but it's not all of the signal.
Right.
So then what do you do?
You'll still get bleed and
Flood one side to plus 15 and the
The
other
other
side to
side.
minus 15. Well, then you got a 30 dB difference. But what are you going to do to the signal when you're cranking all the EQ to plus 15 dB? You're like freaking everything out.
And then people are like, The show's over, Wade. Like, are you ready?
Engineers out there, somebody please design
simple
guitar crossover. We would appreciate that. Send it to me. We'll test it out for you, and I would thank you very much. The second email was actually a combination of a phone call and an email from Brian, who works at the Musical Round in Littleton, Colorado, and this was so awesome. He saw your DS1 mod and politely called and said, hey, about your DS1 mod, is this like an exclusive thing? Is it okay if I try it? You know, what if we offered it? Do you guys like have an exclusive on it? I was like,
Not at all.
Anything we throw out on the podcast, man, take it and run.
Very cool.
Do it. Yeah, I mean, really, you know, that DS1 mod was something that, you know, actually Wade was the first one who did the DS1 mod because we found it on the internet, you know, and it's evolved so much from then. But I mean, you know, really, I've been the one who's had the time to take it, you know, and do whatever with it. You know, I've done with the Switch and, you know, everything. But no, I mean, it's. I think the more the merrier. I mean, it's, you know, like I said, that we're not trying to make, you know, I mean, we perform the mod and it's, you know, whatever, but we're not trying to be like, you know, make $1 million off of this.
Oh yeah, there's no magic in what we're doing.
You know, I mean, we just want to offer advice that's, you know, free advice basically that, you know, that works for people.
Well, what we decided to do for Brian, and I think what we'll do is throw this out to everybody, is Dan's going to do the mod with the LEDs. So we're going to do the maximum mod to the DS1, take pictures of it and show where the LEDs go in, how we fit in that little DPD switch, DPD-T, double pull, double throw switch, and we'll put it on the website. So anybody who wants to try a more advanced mod, it's a good idea. It's not that tough, but it does require a little drilling and squeezing in a little switch and a little extra wiring. But then what it gives you is on one side of the switch that mod, and on the other side the one where you add in the LEDs instead of the existing diodes in the clipping section, which gives just two totally awesome tones. You know, above and beyond.
Far more usable, than the regular one. Good idea.
So awesome, Brian.
So very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and keep the questions coming. We love to dole this information out. But right now, I want to pitch to you guys, and I didn't give you guys a chance to know what I'm doing here. But
how's that clipping? Yeah.
This is sort of like somebody went on a little accessory shopping spree, but this is sort of a tribute to the unsung hero of many guitar shops, and that is accessories. You know, the impulse items, the little things that sort of keep us going, keep our guitars clean, keep the the strings fresh and whatnot. So let's see what we got in here. The first thing that I wanted to pull out, and you guys can just make a few comments and we'll see where this goes. This is definitely a favorite around here.
Thanks, Wade. I've wanted this.
Whoa! And all the whole kit.
Oh yeah, baby.
One spot.
Uno spot.
Awesome.
One spot.
So go ahead, Dan, tell us about it.
Yeah.
Boy, this is really confusing. This gets into milliwattage and
mega voltage.
No, this is a system that can supply power to a really awesome self-made pedal board.
Yeah, I mean, and especially building on your whole pedal board thing from episodes 1 and 2.
Right.
We talked about powering them.
The great thing about this this one spot, this bigger box here, this is the adapter itself, and 9-volt like most pedals are, but it has 1700 milliamps, which is a lot of juice. Which is a lot of juice. Yeah. Milliamperage. That's the current. That's most guitar pedals are 10 to 50 milliamps. They consume that much power. 9 volts is, you don't have to really distribute the 9 volts to all pedals, so it's not like 45 volts and you got 5 pedals or however it works. But 9 volts goes to each pedal, but the milliamperage is the important thing. Milliamperage is what's going to stop your pedal system from humming. If you've ever gone to Radio Shack, and not that Radio Shack is bad, I love it, but
some of my best friends work there.
Actually, I've bought adapters from Radio Shack and plugged them into pedals, and they were the wrong milliamperage, and they're humming, and I'm like,
funny. Yeah.
well, it's 9 volts, it's actually working, but it's making a lot of noise,
Right,
and I
right.
think the milliamperage is, well, I definitely know the milliamperage is the problem
Yep.
in that situation. So, but this is the standalone adapter, and then you've got this guy, which is the daisy chain that one does up to 8 pedals actually. So I mean, as opposed to, I mean, we were talking about this earlier. The DC brick that I use, that Dunlop makes, is around $200, and that does
Right.
7 pedals, and it does like 3 18-volt pedals. But I mean, this
That
does 8.
is
You know, it's
$25 roughly.
$25, and then the daisy chain is another
10 or 15
15
bucks.
bucks.
15. Yeah, yeah.
So
I
you're looking
mean,
at
so
about
it's
50 some odd.
far less. I mean,
Yeah.
the things that the DC brick does, it does power conditioning, and if you get sort of a power surge, it shuts off and comes back on. It maintains power for a little bit, but you're paying a lot for that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying a huge amount for that. Whereas if you're in your basement rehearsing, and you're not really worried about that sort of thing, and you're careful about what you're doing. This is great. This is an amazing alternative.
Well, overall, if you're on a budget, if your pedal board is Dan Electro pedals and the Boss DS1, if your whole pedal board is $300 worth of pedals, why do you have to have a $200 power supply? I mean, for 45 or 50 bucks.
I
Exactly,
personally don't
exactly.
get it. I mean, and there's so few pedals that have odd voltages. And every once in a while you're going to run into a pedal that you want to have that has.
And the brick is 18 volts.
Yeah.
That's another thing to mention.
What?
And it's really tough to find that 18-volt power supply. I mean, I was in Los Angeles recording because at any rate,
How do you know somebody's from LA? 'Cause
brick,
they tell you.
the adapter for my brick
Yeah.
broke down. And I was kind of out of luck. Like, I had to call all over the place to find this 18-volt power
yeah, right,
supply.
right.
Whereas this, it's
It's
9 volts.
Right, pretty standard stuff.
Done.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
Well,
There is also just FYI. There's these little
Yeah.
adapters that you can throw on. I use a couple of those guys. I think. What's that top one say?
Hey,
Line
This is
6
the Alex converter.
Yeah. I have a couple line
It's gold
6
plated
pedals.
with rhinestones on it.
I have a couple of. Can I get a little word in? No. But this one's called a line 6 converter because those line 6 pedals are real pigs and
let's
have
panda just Alex.
sort of a,
just a picture of Alex while he talks.
But anyway, so I use that to power 2 separate a delay modeler and a modulation modeler, the MM4 from line 6, which is nice because they have this ridiculous sort of power supply that comes with them, and I use the one spot and the line 6 converter to power. I have one for each line 6 pedal, and then I power maybe 2 or 3 more Boss pedals off of it as well. So that works out. And then this thing is a male adapter for like your old DoD style.
Can we come
pedals.
back to the 3 of us sitting here, or are we still on the picture of Alex? Sorry, keep going.
Superimposed on the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say actually
burgundy
is,
rock pants. Yeah.
did you grab that Godlike thing?
No.
Oh, there's a little device from Godlike called the Power Pump, I think it's called.
Called the power
And you
line.
can actually attach it to a daisy chain and do 12, 18, or 24 volt power
24.
as well. So using the system, you can pretty much, with rare exceptions, I used to have a tone bone from Radial
Let's go back to that picture of Alex.
Designs. Let's pan back to that. And the tone bone. But it was a great sounding pedal, but I couldn't find a power supply other than the stock one that comes with it. And I think I kind of, in the end, soured the milk.
Well, 98% of anything that's out there, you can have an adapter for it, including old pedals that don't even use power supplies. There's the battery clip adapter, so
battery
you
clip,
can just snap
right.
it right to your old battery clip, power everything that way. So,
Totally awesome.
So
Yeah, genius.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, what about? We've talked about this issue before, but
Is that a snorkel?
yeah, a blackjack and a.
What does that do?
I have no idea
That
what
one.
this is.
Has a
This
Kaiser
is
humidifier.
No, I know.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even notice with the guts.
With missing guts, yeah.
It doesn't work right now.
It's a feedback buster. It's a glorified feedback buster. Yeah. And yeah, this is your Super Damp It, it's called. And in the wintertime in Wisconsin, you're going to need one of these.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer in that
It's
thing
about
right now.
humidification, and if we didn't express this enough in previous episodes, please, again, when winter rolls around, if you are in cold regions, please get these passive humidifiers and keep your acoustic guitars, and in most cases your electric guitars, humidified.
As well, yep.
Please
Please
okay.
do it.
Read the instructions, use it, live it. Yeah.
What's this do?
Coated strings.
Coated strings.
I don't know.
Guilty.
I don't know if everybody out there
Guilty?
used them.
knows about coated strings.
Oh,
I've used
okay.
them.
I see.
I'm
I
actually,
see.
for acoustic, I'm a fan. I gotta say it. I'm sorry. But we love
You just
the
fell a couple notches on the
No,
ladder,
but
Dan.
we love
No,
the
I'm
Martin
just-
SPs
yeah.
around here, and we're huge Martin geeks. Martin makes the best products available, hands down. But for guys like me, who only play acoustic guitar,
And never wash their hands.
that's a false statement because I never wash my hands, but I only play acoustic guitar once a week for about 3 seconds.
So
So
it works out. Yeah.
So it works out. But no, I love these strings. I mean, I've put these on. This was the first set of strings I put on my Martin 15 series when I got it, and they lasted me about. I mean, I played it
To this day.
through my sister's wedding, and they stayed on the guitar for another 4 months, and amazing. It's way
So there's
to
the
go.
poly web, the nano web, and the cheapskate web. No, I'm just kidding.
The worldwide, yeah, these are
Way.
these are Elixir. These particular
Way,
ones
yeah.
are nano web phosphor bronze. But the idea is Elixir came up with this idea to put their patented Gore-Tex coating on strings
Trademark.
to keep them from oxidizing from sweat and beer and humidity
Time.
in the air and whatnot. Yeah, it's I mean
It totally works for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it totally does. And what he was saying, polyweb, nanoweb. Polyweb is the original coating, which have you ever seen like these coated strings that look like they have sort of a milky white, spider web sort of coating over them? That's the original polyweb. Nanoweb is a thinner coating that allows the string to resonate more of its true bronze tone, but they don't last quite as long. And
I
they
like the polyweb.
not too long ago came out with phosphor bronze, which allows even a brighter tone yet, much more natural sounding, but still the coating on there to make them last a long time. So those of you who aren't familiar with coated strings, it is not for everybody, but particularly for those of you who don't change your strings that frequently.
Or
coated string.
Or for people who corrode the
I was
outside
gonna say,
of
yeah.
their
Some
string.
guys
yeah.
say
Yeah.
I touched the strings and they're nasty.
Some
And,
people just have the sweat from hell. They put brand new bronze strings on and they come back a day later and they're black.
Yeah.
And these
And I-
things are just a saving grace for them.
I don't, and I had those elixirs on there, and I was going, I just can't justify
Snipping them off.
taking them off. Like
They're
they're
working
still
fine,
happening,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, and
So I'm a
the other
huge
thing I
believer.
will say about
Yeah.
them is we're an Alvarez dealer, and Alvarez, I think they've switched over maybe to Diodario coated strings now,
Yeah, the X-
perhaps, but for a long time they used the Elixir strings, and I must say the occasional guitar that sat here forever and ever had the original Elixir strings on it. You pick
Yeah.
it up and it sounds pretty darn good, and I'd get brand new acoustics that I set up last week, and Sweaty Donnie was playing them, and it's like, oh my
And
god, I need to set it up again.
Really,
you
I mean,
know,
as far
it's
as
like-
our customers, I mean, we sell so many elixir strings, and those guys they'll keep coming back for them.
Yeah, so if it works for you,
Yeah,
It
I
works
mean they're
for you.
about 3
Yeah.
times as much as what a normal guitar string costs. But I think they're worth. I mean, I
for some people, yeah, definitely.
I know they're worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about these guys? You got one of those, you got one of those.
Oh,
And where do you guys-
handed the right capo to the right guy.
The right guy, yeah.
Nice.
The Capo Wars.
Nice.
There's a whole bunch of different capos.
I love the Shub capo.
Well, what is a capo?
What is a capo?
Yeah.
What isn't a capo?
It's a small chicken. No, that's a capon.
Capo's your first
A
finger.
capo.
What's a
that's
caper?
A caper is a small little seed pod.
It's a seed pod. Okay.
Sea pod. Well, a capo is not a sea pod.
And brine. Do you know what brine is?
Brian and Donnie, was that the sweaty guy and his
Brian
brother?
and Donnie.
Hey, Brian.
This is the choice of.
So go ahead
What
on
were
the
you going to say,
capo.
Dan? Go ahead. I'm sorry, I'll behave myself. I didn't want to leave.
I always thought of a capo as the replacing your first finger as far as
we'll watch the
bar chords,
bar chords
are concerned.
Oh, okay.
It changes the key. It basically shifts the key of your cowboy chords or your open chords. I'm sure that makes absolutely no sense to anybody. But that's the best I can do.
What a capo does.
Pop that bad boy out.
All right.
We're going to demo it because sometimes actions speak
Yeah,
louder than words.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's tough.
Let's say you know
Everybody
the song.
loves the demo. So
Let's
tough
say
to
you know the
explain.
song, playing it in open chords. Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Well, let's
But
do this.
Let's say I can't sing it
Let's
in
do
that
this.
key. Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear this. I can't play it right, but at any
But
rate,
anyway, do your Christopher Walken. Yeah. Christopher Walken sings that song.
shh. At any rate, observe my G chord. It's nice and clean. I'm hitting every note.
LA Session Man.
It's beautiful. I can do this all day. My number's on the bottom of the
The
screen.
hell of a damn chord, Danny. Yeah.
Observe the same chord and how it sounds different. Same finger position, different key.
I got you.
Capo.
Capo. Enough said. This is the one I like. There's a bunch of different kinds, and some people like different ones. People are always trying to build a better capo. This one's called the Kaiser Quick Change, and the reason it's called the Quick Change is you can one-handedly go like this or like that, and you can quickly move it back and forth, which I like one-handed because the other hand is usually busy, you know, hollering out to people. And
My problem with this one is I'm rocking and then I poke my thumb.
oh my, yeah. See, that's never ever happened to me.
Can we get some fake
And
blood on this one? Hey.
Lest we forget that you could get crazy and do that. You could go the other way, and then you'd scare yourself in the knee or something.
You can't even get it
That
on there
way.
though. That's the thing because it's like this, and you want to
Yeah,
go.
and you're like, ah, yeah.
But if you go like
Then
this,
it becomes the quick stab capo.
and then I stab myself in the leg with it.
Okay,
So,
people have strong feelings about their capos.
but the beautiful thing about this capo is, I'm not using it.
I know the shub's real convenient for that because you're like, where did I put
This
it?
one's like,
Oh, it's in the bottom of my beer glass. Oops. Yeah, where did it go? It's black.
Well,
I lost it. Yeah.
the schools are
But-
somewhat split. We actually do.
I love the shub capo.
we do sell more of the Kaiser capos, but I'm actually a Shub fan too because
Kaiser man, I'm a Kaiser.
you
man.
have much more control of the tension on the Shub capo.
I agree. I like that. I like, it
Thickness
takes me
of, thickness of the neck, string
me a
height,
little-
all of those kind of things is all
right. It
You,
takes me
you
a
put
little
them on.
longer, but I like to do the little fine.
I just
tweak.
find that to be so
Go
overrated.
Boink.
Because
yeah, I'm not really squeezing the heck
It's,
out of the
it's all about
strings.
placement, you know? You just put it right on the damn fret. That's the key. You put it right on the fret, you'll be good to go. You don't need all tension ratcheted and all
Look at that thing,
messing
though.
with that. But, whatever works for you. It's a nice, fun thing to have, and
I always
Great,
like to throw those in because it gets these guys
VHS
Yeah.
beta.
Blu-ray HD. How about those?
these are
How about those?
pins that go into Frankenstein's neck. No, they go right into the top of your guitar. These are bridge pins for acoustic guitar. I could take one out. These particular ones are brass with a nice little abalone there. Are you getting a nice close-up of that there, Ed? How about now? Can you reach me now? Do you see me now? No, bridge pins come in a number of different materials. Like I said, these are brass. They come in ebony and rosewood and maple and boxwood, and there's a couple cool synthetics like tusk.
So why would anybody want to change their bridge pins?
Well, decorative. Like I said, these are nice abalones, so they look kind of cool. Sonically, they actually have an effect. I would say probably brass bridge pins have the most radical sonic effect, which is typically, it kind of thins the sound out, but makes it more sustaining.
Right.
So you increase mass, you get more sustain, but you lose some harmonic content. My favorite are the ebony. I just in my own sort of testing with it, I felt like the ebony pins increase harmonics. I think that you get a richer tone
Right.
with the ebony, and so therefore more sustain. If I had to use a synthetic, I'd probably go with those Tusk ones, just because they're tough. The ebony, you know, if you use ebony pins, you'll have to replace them on a regular basis.
Well, what's kind of happening then is, you know, you have these holes in your bridge where your bridge pins go on your acoustic guitar, and with most companies, you're filling them with pretty cheap injection molded plastic, and that plastic is kind of filling the hole, and the vibration that moves kind of across the hole is being transmitted through that plastic. The plastic makes contact with the wrap on the end of your string, and the string then sends vibration into that plastic too. So whatever that material is going to affect the tone. So I mean, I like the idea.
Yeah.
I like the idea of changing the bridge pins to play around with your tone.
It's funny.
It's kind of surprising. I'm sorry to.
No, that your whole guitar, you know, you can buy a nice expensive guitar and it's all wood, all solid wood, and you get that.
And super cheap bridge pins.
right where the string meets the body,
right,
and you
right.
need to transfer
Tire hitting the
tone.
road, yeah. Kind of interesting. Yeah,
like
yeah.
really.
And
rubbery
just for
plastic.
example, going from an injection molded pin to a Tusk pin, I heard of a real big difference. Particularly, better the guitar, you know, the more you're going to notice these sort of subtle differences and things. You know, for example, people often ask me, like, you know, well, it's a rosewood bridge versus an ebony bridge. You know, does that make a sonic difference? It totally does, but it becomes one of the things I often say when sort of just talking to people about the way acoustic guitars are made. You know, I say the top is the most important part of the sound, or you know, makes up for the majority of the sound. But everything matters in varying degrees, and this is definitely one of the things that, you know, like I said, is makes a contribution to the overall tone, and it's worth experimenting with.
Well, they're not super expensive. You know, some of the sets range from, you know, nine to about these are the fanciest ones that I've ever seen. The most
It's
expensive.
like the basketball player's shoes. That's like Jordan's Air Jordans.
Yeah.
Like,
These
he's not wearing, you know.
These are $39,
Payless.
and probably half of this price is the abalone shell inlay on top of the pins. But you know, brass pins you can pick up for $15 or $20. But there's no formula to it either, though. So you have to try some different pins. You know, on a rosewood bridge, rosewood pins might not be the
pins. You know, lower strings, higher strings.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've seen that a lot.
Brass wood, yeah.
But they're cheap. Don't be afraid to experiment. You know, bridge pins are a fun thing to kind of play around with, and throw that in.
And an easy mod, completely easy mod. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Just when you change your strings, right? And maybe if you are going to a coated string and you find that your coated string is maybe softening your tone a little bit, maybe you know a brass bridge pin would be the
get a
difference
nice
right
bright
there.
tone, nice bright brassy tone.
Absolutely.
This is just a real quick one.
Let me tell you about these eggs, the nuggets.
Especially the gold ones.
I think we got these for Christmas one year or something like that, and everybody comments on how great these sound, and they do. They have a really nice sound. But here's the thing:
They're easier than a
more of
kazoo
these nuggets
to play.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have sold more of these nuggets than McDonald's has sold chicken McNuggets.
Yes.
I think so.
In the tri-state area, at least. But no, I don't know. We have a basket of them back here, and it says the fascinating rhythm instrument. Great stuff.
All right.
Pick up a nug.
Last in the accessory bag, and certainly not least.
Plectrums. Okay.
Peaks.
You know what's funny is you handed me my favorite type of pick.
Oh, really? I had no idea.
Yeah, the Tortex. Dunlop Tortex picks. And especially this guy on the very end. The
yellow, the .73.
.73, as it were. Yes. Yeah, because I was playing Fender picks for a long time.
Fender picks.
And I'd get rambunctious once in a while playing live. And I would, I'd lose them. They'd just fall out of my hand when I'm holding the other two picks.
Where did they go? We don't know.
No, but I break the tips off of the celluloid picks. The celluloid picks sound really good. They you know, after a while, I don't know if this is where you were going with the...
I'm not going anywhere. This is just, you know...
At any rate, celluloid picks, which Fender makes, are great. They have an amazing tone. The
click.
After a while, after they roll up the strings a few times, they get a little serrated on the edge there, and they have an amazing attack sound, but they chip on me.
They break like
because I break the tips off.
I agree. I used to use Fender Thins.
This has a super soft attack, but these things last forever. ever.
You know, tire hitting the road too on these. It is amazing when you, particularly when you play an acoustic guitar, if you listen to the difference between celluloid, which is like you're saying, real snappy film stock material, versus nylon, which is a little more rubbery, versus, well, that's the Tortex. This is their regular nylon. But they all sound different. You know, that's another reason that
this is the happy medium. Yeah, those are super soft attack. Those other nylon ones, the gray ones.
Yes. This is a
celluloid
real
being
aggressive attack.
being the optimal. I mean, that's the celluloid ones to me are sonically the best. If they could make a celluloid, and I've never delved into, I haven't gone into the synthetic tortex, the tortoise.
Right.
But if those are anything like a celluloid that lasts forever, I'm sold. I mean, But yeah, I got to do the Tortex.
We had a customer come in the other day and who had seen the podcast a couple times. I should just mention that, but he said you should do a thing on plectrums because nobody talks about, you know, picks and what a key role they play. But it is interesting. I mean, there's a number of materials. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of different sizes. You know, some people like these little tiny picks. Some people like these crazy big ones. Some people like, you know, this is a medium. Those are done in millimeters. Everything from like a 36 millimeter up to a 2.0 or 3.0.
And you really can't go by the millimeter on these because the flex, the 60 feels like the 72 in the celluloid. So different thicknesses in different materials will, you know, like a 72 on a celluloid feels like a 60 in the what is this, Tortex? I don't know what they make this out of. Really.
It's a nylon also.
It's a nylon. Okay.
Celluloid was kind of the answer to what they used to use most often way back in the day was actual tortoise shell, and when they stopped bludgeoning tortoises for the wonderful picks they made, celluloid was kind of a similar material, which is why it looks, you know, these look like tortoise shell. You can make them look like anything, but this was kind of supposed to remedy people's yearning for the original tortoise shell. Now I've had customers bring in, you know, picks that they paid $20 or $30 for, and they're like, "You have anything like this?" You know, and well,
celluloid is nitrocellulose. It's the same material that nitrocellulose lacquer for guitars is made out of. And what happens is, like, when it heats up or you burn it or melt it, it smells like camphor, but it's also very highly flammable. But I mean, I think it must be somehow how it gives it that unique click, because I love the Fender click attack, but because I use thins, I break them every half hour, and I
wouldn't worry so much about the. I mean, the way I play, if the tip broke off, not that big of a deal, but
just roll it over to the other side.
But the problem is, I was catching my first fingernail in the strings and bending it backwards, or you know, ripping parts of it off. God forbid ripping the whole thing off. So I had to stop, which is, it's a. If I could do celluloid all the time, I would.
It's interesting too. I mean, just as I was just thinking about this, the subject of picks, just how like I don't use a pick. I don't, you know, every once in a while I'll use one for strumming an acoustic or something in the studio, but for the most part I don't use them. But it's amazing how passionate people are about it, and how some people like go, "Oh, I'll take 3 of these and 3 of these and 6 of these," and they don't go, "I don't care, those will work," you know.
Oh, for me, I gotta have those yellows.
But everybody, but some people are like, if you've got to have a specific pick, and I know it does feel strange for me. It feels real strange for me to play with a pick in general. Sometimes I'll be like, I have to strum this in the studio because I could play it with my hand, but it won't sound as good, and it won't be quite as smooth. So then I'm like, okay, I'll use this pick, and then I like get it in my hand, and suddenly I can't remember how to play it. I can't hold on to it, and you know.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah, you overthink it. And it's something so simple.
Well, when I don't, you know, if you use it all the time, you just. But it's amazing. I mean, I've had guys who will come in here on a Friday night, and they got a gig that night, and I'm out of, you know, pointy shark number 7s or whatever. You know, there's so many different picks, and you know, we try to keep, you know, as many of the ones that are the most popular in stock, but. You know, just today we've ran out of heavy, cool picks with the grip. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, there's so many. So picks have grips on them. They come with all these different materials, all these different sizes, and it is just, it's just amazing. I feel somewhat liberated.
Such a small part of the whole thing, but it's so important.
It's so key, yeah.
And it gets overlooked a lot. Yeah. And I think it's why, you probably.
Just to draw this out a little, I was in a band with a guy who played with a little thumb pick that was shaved down real small, and it was a real odd one, but that was the thumb pick.
That scares me.
And he would, every music store we'd go to, he would rifle through, you have any thumb picks? He'd rifle through all their thumb picks, and I don't know what the criteria was, but he would never buy one. I'd be like, I'll buy him for you.
Our first beat.
He would never...
Why the did you do that?
No!
Sorry.
We blew our perfect record. The Blue Show. It came to be known as The Blue Show. Anyway, sorry about that. But nonetheless, if we lost the pick, it was like, cancel the gig practically, So I was just like, please buy something that you can use,
Well,
So,
we talked on a previous episode before, the budgets that some people have for their guitars, but they don't put money into anything else, like have a $2,000 guitar, but put it in a $19 gig bag kind of thing.
Right. Strap locks. $15, what? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, right. Or
You got this big bolt I'll show it.
Yeah.
I'm going on tour. I need 4 picks.
Yeah.
And
live it up, dude.
I might break a high E, so I'll take 1 extra high E string.
Yeah.
Put accessories into your budget. Play with your sound. Have fun
True.
with it.
Being prepared and being ready for something that's what sets you apart from being. I mean,
a hack amateur.
Yeah. You got to be professional. I mean,
in the LA studio,
if
you need your
it's
backup 18-volt power supply.
If
Do that. Do everything, man. No, I'm down with it. I'm down with it. I'm down with Dan on this. Yes.
that was before I
The
was
LA area,
employed on it.
the basin, I like to call it. Yeah. No, I totally disagree. I mean, I totally agree with you.
apologize.
I
Totally
disagree, and yet I disagree.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I remember once going on a little jaunt through the Midwest once, and I have my workbench with all my strings, or my work box with all my strings and tools and stuff. Left it, So then I was like, went to this music store and just kind of cavalierly said, I'll take 1 of these and 4 of those, and how many individual strings do you have there? And I started like just racking up this bill, and I'm like, okay, they bring it up, and the guy was like, totally stuck it to me, on the individual strings. It was like 178.14. I was like, a couple of high E's and a pick, and I was like, oh, I'll put these back in. Can I put these back in? But anyway, don't leave home without it.
Which single strings were the most expensive?
Can I live without the 24? Yeah. Right. So, you don't want to rebuild your collection on the road.
No. All right. You mentioned that you had some kind of surprise subject you wanted to throw out here. So what do you got on your mind tonight?
Well, I was just going to give you just a little...
Let's get the quickly picks out of here.
No, I was just going to do a little Gear Geek experiment.
Do it.
You like it? Are you into it? Are you way into it? Okay.
Feeling it.
All right,
you're
I'll
channeling
set the
me
screen.
right now.
I'll set the scene here. All right.
Set the
Desert
screen.
Island, right? You're stranded
Desert
on a
Island.
desert island. And the only thing on this island is this really kick-ass tiki club with a killer PA system, all right?
But no one there to listen
And there's
to you.
food, and no, there's a lot of people there to listen to you, too. All right, so it's not hell, but you get to pick 3 guitars,
Tiki?
3 guitars, 3 amps, and 3 effects pedals, and you have 10 grand. Shopping
amps?
spree. Yeah.
Wow, this is a killer. This is
It's a killer deal. You're on this island, you get like...
This question is going to take 30 minutes per person. Let's
No, because you only get, and there's a time limit. Oh, here, I got a clock right here. So, all right, go, Dan.
You have
30 seconds.
72% humidity. All right, let's narrow it down to one guitar and one
All right,
amp.
1 amp, 1 pedal, one guitar. And
1
it's-
amp, 1 pedal, 1 guitar?
Yeah. And it's not one that you have. You get...
I can't pick one I already have?
No, you have to pick a different one that you don't have.
That's bull.
You can pick anything you want.
That's bull, people. Okay, all right, it can be... But this will be boring because we're all going
Twin
to pick...
reverb, Telecaster,
C.
delay
Okay.
pedal.
Okay. It's pretty good.
Any delay
What do you
pedal.
got?
Doesn't matter.
Well, I want 3 of everything.
I thought this through for hours.
I-
And I'm gonna go with this 68 Les Paul custom.
Yes, I've had
Then I'm
hours
gonna
to
go
think
with
about
a
it.
74
Okay,
Strat.
not a good segment. But what would you pick? 1 amp, 1 pedal, 1.
All right, I'm gonna go with the Magnatone Tone Master from the late 50s for my amp. As my 1 pedal, I would go with Boy, you know, I guess I would have to probably go with a tube screamer, just because I think, you know, to have just a totally rich sounding vintage tube amp and then something to overdrive it, you know, to make it a little more fun to play. And I think for the guitar, I would have to go with, you know, even though I play old Harmony and Silvertone hollow bodies, I would have to go with a late 50s Gibson ES330. Which in my ideal world, that is my dream guitar, even though that's not what I play.
Can I borrow your tube screamer on that?
Yes.
For a couple of the songs?
Well, I'll share my pedal if you pick one that we can share too.
Perfect.
What chorus are we going to have?
Ooh, yeah. Hey, pick a TC chorus. Or
The bartender, though.
Oh, there we go.
Bartender has really good backline.
Yeah. If we just in the same band, then we just trade off.
Yeah, we could have like...
Boy, that's a tough call. I'll go some sort of tweed thing.
some sort of tweed thing.
like a jacket with a letter patches on the elbows.
Wait, we have some of that.
Let's see. What would I do? Yeah, I think maybe I would do some sort of Les Paul. That would be nice. Maybe there'd be a Bigsby involved.
Why don't you pick
an amp? Are you concerned about the amp selection I'm going to make? I'd probably go tweed twin. I'd go like a 50s tweed twin. Is that crazy?
Some sort of Les Paul
but the power is very unpredictable on the side.
They're tweaky that way.
Some sort of pedal type thing.
They're tiki that way. Yeah. And then I would probably go with, for my pedal, have to go with the tuner pedal. A Les Paul and a tweed amp? What do you need, man?
I can tune off of you.
Oh my God.
Right. I'll have the tuner pedal. Yeah.
It reminds me of my brother Jeff, who during a great philosophical conversation one time... I asked my brother Jeff, I said, if you could have any book on a deserted island, what book would you have with you?
My journal.
No, you know what he said? A survival guide. Pragmatism wins out. Okay, before we close up here, I have in my hands, I feel like Monty Hall here. But for those of you old enough to have seen Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah.
I have $100 for you.
Nice.
I have $100 for you, and I have $100 for me.
What? How much can you buy on a desert island with a tiki bar and it?
It's free drinks. It's happy hour.
My challenge. I mentioned this to you guys a long time ago, and I had to wait for the right moment to put this challenge before you. We each have a $100 limit, and within the next couple months, maybe within the next 2-3 podcasts, what we have to do is go shopping. So anyway, Dan, what you and I are going to do is we have to go shopping, and we have to find some, somewhat old, outdated, vintagey piece of equipment that's in the sub-$100 category that is cool as all heck. Bring it back. What we're going to do is when we all have our sub-$100 item that has to be outdated. It can't be something that's just used for under $100. It can't be like
feeling that
groovy 80s.
Yeah, 50s, 60s, 70s,
No,
80s, but nothing new that's in anybody's current production. Yeah,
interesting piece.
Find a cool, old, interesting piece. We're going to bring it in for $100, and we're going to all demo our cool things that we find for sub $100. And then maybe what we'll even do is, if any viewers are really interested in what we picked up, we'll see if we can't find a way to move them in the sub $100 category to somebody out there who's looking for something kind of fun like that. So
awesome. Good idea.
Take your $100, go on a shopping spree, have fun with it.
Awesome.
Awesome. Be great.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up. This has been episode 11. I'm going with $200. Episode 11 of the Guitar Shop Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you watching and listening, please send us your questions, comments to wadesguitarshop@sbcglobal.net. Check out the podcast on wadesguitarshop.com. Click on the podcast link. Check us out on iTunes, Zune Marketplace, Miro, and all kinds of other funky places where we're showing up.
TikiBar.com.
Tiki Island.
Well, there's a really cool podcast called Tiki Bar. But Dan, great job.
Wade, great job.
Always. Alex, good job.
Yes, sir. Parmesan cheese.
Ed.
Rock.
Great job. Jocelyn was not able to be here tonight, so Jocelyn, I hope you are feeling better. We will be back
camera too.
very soon. Sorry things got a little blue tonight, but we'll bleep and bloop maybe one or two of those things.
Yeah,
beeping. I don't think I had beeping. That's all right.
91%. She's
All
gonna
right.
blow.
6 guitars, 14 amps, and 12 effects pedals. Go.
If you had to drop an F-bomb, that was perfect. It was not planned. It happened. It was spontaneous. It was wonderful. It really was the best. Yeah.